So we're live. Outstanding. Notice, well, no, the lighting's okay. That's good. So the topic for this live chat, as we get going, the topic for this live chat is your favorite Christmas songs. Come on, let's do this. The come on, let's do this part is sort of like a motivating way to say, hey, let's make this happen. I want to welcome you to this live stream. If you're watching it later in the future, then welcome to this video. My name is Bill Marion, and this is a Notes for Life Vlogmas. I don't remember which episode this is, but be sure to jump into the chat, click the like button, and let's do this. I have so many favorite Christmas songs that I honestly don't know where I would begin, but one that has always been special to me, it's the Temptations. You remember the Temptations, My Girl? I still love the Temptations. Absolutely love the Temptations, like their music, and I know a lot of their catalog from way back. Most people know My Girl and a few others, but man, I'm just a Temptations fanatic. So one of my favorite albums is the Temptations had, I think, 2 Christmas albums, maybe 3, and some of the songs they actually redid. One of them was Little Drummer Boy. You know, the Little Drummer Boy, despite, if you like it or love it, their version of it was really awesome. And I also love their Rudolph rendition. I thought that was really cool. So those 2 songs stand out in my mind. And even though they play the snot out of it, Mariah Carey's song, All I Want for Christmas Is You, I can't help but to think that's one of the greatest Christmas songs, as far as pop is concerned. I mean, yes, you got the old hymns. I love the old hymns. Golly, I just drew a complete blank. Joy to the World, things like that, and Deck the Halls, and those are fun. But like I said, my favorite Christmas, songs as far as rocking out to would have to be those Temptation songs. But every now and then I'll hear somebody's Christmas stuff. What's up, man? Wife is saying there's Billy. He said wife says Silent Night. As far as like I'm calling Silent Night a hymn. The old school stuff. Absolutely, there's something so cozy about that setting. Somebody was saying this today. They were rehearsing, and Cindy was there too. They were rehearsing for the candlelight and all that stuff we're doing tomorrow at Ray of Hope. If you're in the area and man, you want to see a great Christmas thing, come over to Ray of Hope. We're doing our candlelight service, and we're doing communion. We're looking forward to that, so come on out. But yeah, Silent Night. Somebody was saying, would it have been a silent night? Because you got a baby there, the baby's crying. You know what I'm saying? Would it have been silent? I don't know, but I still love the imagery of the song Silent Night, and that's pretty cool. I know the shepherds, man, it wasn't silent for them. The shepherds out in the field. You guys know that story. It was, angels, and they're seeing all this stuff in the sky. It'd be awesome. So it wasn't too silent, for them. But yeah, Silent Night's awesome. Silent Night's really cool. Somebody else needs to pipe in there. Y'all are killing me tonight. We're 3 minutes in this and nobody's saying anything, but welcome. Billy saying mine is Over the Rhine. All I get for Christmas is all I get for Christmas is blue. Big Frog. Good to see you. I don't know that one, Billy. All I get for Christmas is blue. I don't know that one. Yeah, I don't know that one. I'll have to Google that. See, you have to be careful. It would be cool if we could play some of these songs, but obviously we can't. There's a way you can get by with that if you're doing an editorial about a song, so you're not really listening to the song. You're breaking the song down, so then that's not a copyright infringement. It's crazy. Anyway, Big Frog, we're talking about Christmas songs. Just a little pause for a second here. Something that I noticed, because we've been doing live streams every day. I'm just kind of experimenting too to see what this is like. We're getting great numbers, like within 24 hours, it's getting 100 views. It's not bad for our channel. It's great. Woohoo! But the question that I've had about this since we've been doing it is every now and then I'll lose subscribers. I don't understand that aspect. I don't know if it's the algorithm, because sometimes you lose subscribers anyway. Like if they're inactive on your channel for so long, they kind of filter them out or whatever. So I didn't know. So I didn't know if this was a good thing that we're doing. So it'd be great if you guys would let us know. Either comment the video or inbox us on our Facebook page at Bill Marion Live. Bill Marion Life, and let us know if the live thing is working for you, if you like it. I don't want to ever stop doing what we normally do, but I'd love to do more live stuff and interact with the community. Anyway, back to Christmas songs. One of the things that I love, our praise team at the church, they do modern stuff, and so you get all kinds of arrangements, different music, with different arrangements. I really like that. Oh, Little Town of Bethlehem. That was the name of the song that I was trying to think of earlier. I like that song too. Welcome, by the way, those of you that are joining in. We're talking about our favorite Christmas music here on, we're just, how many days are we away from Christmas? 20 days or something? I don't know. I think I'm trying to check it's December 5th. Yeah, 20 days. We're 20 days, December 25th, right? Yeah. So funny story. My wife and I have 2 different anniversary dates because we messed up the paperwork. It's a long story. So we celebrate our anniversary on November 27th because that's when we got married. But our actual day that we were married is December 25th. I know that sounds crazy, but I'll explain it some other time. Big Frog says, I like the old traditional stuff. I do too. I like it all. I love Christmas music. I love Christmas music. It's fun sometimes. I don't know if you've ever done this. It's really cool is to pop in some Christmas music. Just hear me out on this in July when it's hot as all get out. It's kind of fun every now and then. It's kind of just enjoyable. It's weird. You know, you usually don't pop the Christmas music out until November, late November. It's weird. I don't know. You've got Pentatonix. If you've ever heard of Pentatonix, their stuff is amazing. And I'm forgetting right now the name of that group. It's a college. They were in college when they started, and they did this rendition of the 12 Days of Christmas. That's hysterical. And now they're kind of like a traveling group. I mean, that when they released that, I think 20 years ago, but now they travel together or something, but I can't remember their name right now. Christmas music, it can depress you too. You know, some of that, I mean, remember the song, I'll Have a Blue Christmas Without You? Well, that's lonely and depressing. There's a lot. And that's a good question. What is some lonely and depressing Christmas music? Anybody want to pipe in on that one? Lonely and depressing. Blue Christmas is one of them. You know, I'm drawing a blank right now. I should have probably taken notes before I even came on here. Big Frog says straight up, no chasers. Is that what it is? Straight no chasers or something like that. And their Christmas stuff is just a lot of fun. And Pentatonix, they're kind of amazing. Is there anything they can't do? I mean, they are absolutely amazing. Mariah Carey still dominates radio waves during Christmas. You got your television stuff, you know, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and, you know, Frosty the Snowman. You know, the kids are going to be singing that kind of stuff. That's always a lot of fun. So, yeah, it's Christmas songs. They're fun, they're warm, and then you got the ones that are depressing. Billy says, all I ever get for Christmas is blue, but it's still very well written song. I've got to look that one up. I probably know it, just haven't thought about it. Real quick, I'm getting blown up here on Facebook there. Sorry, my bad. So, all right, so those of you who are in here, do you think that the live thing, because I never can tell if it's something we should, this is our 4th night trying to do it. And, you know, you kind of go up and down on who joins and who doesn't. And here lately, or the past 3 or 4 nights, then by the next day you have 100 or so views. But do you guys think it's something we should continue doing, or what's your input? Give me some input on that. I noticed that the people that come back again and again, that's a lot of fun. But I'm also hearing that a lot of people aren't getting notifications. And I think that's because it's pretty spontaneous. We're not planning this out. If we planned it out, I think it would be a lot better off. So let me know something like that in the chat room. You ever tried to write a Christmas song? It's not as easy as you think, because the minute you go to try to write the song, you end up rewriting songs you've heard already. Big Frog says, sometimes I can join in on the live. But then life happens. Yeah, it's difficult. I think it would work so much better if it was scheduled. But that's very, very difficult. But I think we could do a better job. Obviously, during Vlogmas, that's the whole purpose of it. What I'm trying to do too is do a live. We had a successful live event by accident. It wasn't even planned. I went up to Skyline Drive back in the summer early. I think it was late summer, early fall, and I set up where I had signal, and I just set the camera on the little tripod thing, and I was sitting behind it, and we just talked. It was pretty cool. I had it to where I could actually see the comments on the phone, and I thought that was pretty amazing. Billy says the bat signal finally worked today. So Billy got a notification. I think some people the notification could get buried in a bunch of notifications. Like I noticed in our count tonight is a lot lower than it has been over the past 3 or 4 nights, but it's also Friday, which is a terrible night. You know, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, those are not the best nights most of the time to release a video. Usually the best time is like Tuesday night, Thursday night. Every now and then you can release a video on Friday and it does well. So I don't know. Here's the other thing weird about Christmas. Poinsettias. I like poinsettias. You know, the red poinsettias is pretty cool. And you set them out everywhere. But they disappear miraculously after Christmas. Do they all die? What happens to poinsettias after Christmas? And why don't I ever see poinsettias before Christmas? That's a weird thing to me. It's like this plant that just pops out during Christmas and you never see it again. Somebody needs to explain that to me. It's mysterious. It's very mysterious. Big Frog says, I get notifications from you. You are one of the few I ring the bell for. Thank you so much. And I do mean that. That's it's so important. If you don't push the bell, then you're basically half-hearting the subscription, so to speak. YouTube makes it to where they really want to know you're into that creator because they have content they want to push towards you. And so, and that's fine. It's their platform. So you have to really tell YouTube, you know, I'm all in on this creator. I really want to be notified. Another way to do it that we don't offer on this channel yet is partnerships, but we don't offer that on our channel. In other words, to make sure that you're notified and things like that, and you're helping to support the channel and all that stuff. So right now we're kind of just using the advertising income only and not doing the partnership thing. Big Frog says, oh yeah, you already said that one. Juan says, I got a notice. I got no notice. Oh no, but I'm here. Well, hey, you're here because you know that Juan is probably the most loyal subscriber ever. You know, I mean, he shows up when we don't even have a video. Juan just monitors the channel because he's a secret agent man. It's good to see you always, Juan, my Arizona friend. I can't wait to go to, man, next time we go to Arizona, I'm going to find Juan, but I know that Juan's probably has a bunker in Arizona. You probably couldn't find him. I'm just kidding. That'd be looking forward to heading back to Arizona soon. That's what I'm hoping to be able to go to Arizona. I'd love to go back to Colorado. Somebody the other night was talking about Wyoming and Utah. Those are other places, you know, bucket list places that I've been to as a kid, but I'd like to go back as an adult. Carolyn's never been to Wyoming. She's never been to Montana or Utah. I'd love to take her to some wonderful, amazing places. I love that I got to take her, Anna, Nathan. I love it that I got to take Anna's been, but Nathan, Crystal, and Carolyn and Madison to the Garden of the Gods there in Colorado Springs because absolutely amazing. It's like being on another planet. Big Frog says the government told Juan that I was live. Yes, the government. He's live again. Juan Thomas says, I'm working from the bunker. That's exactly right. The bunker. Anyway, so that's what, Christmas, I think Christmas, what makes Christmas so amazing, and this is what, the way I understand it, is that right after World War II and during World War II and even probably before, a lot of the Christmas traditions that we hold dear was sort of pushed by the government to help with the Great Depression, to help get shopping going. The music that we sing, even the way Thanksgiving works, when Thanksgiving is, so that day of shopping would come in there, was all sort of manufactured in such a way to create the atmosphere that we sort of had for a long time. And I don't think it's there as much now. I think Black Friday's ruined a lot of that, but it was sort of manufactured. The songs that came out that people love. And it's one of those things that people mention it as a negative thing, that it was manufactured that way. And I don't think it was negative. I think it got the people, focused back on being with the family and things like that. And it worked to an extent. It worked. It got people spending money again. So that's interesting stuff. I think it's interesting anyway. During the 1930s and 1940s, a lot of people don't realize how crazy a lot of the wonderful things that we have now, even the videos that you guys watch from our channel, the places that we go, whether it's from the Blue Ridge Parkway, even out west, the roads we were on out west are all, not all, but mostly a part of some of those work programs that came out during that time period. So whether or not they fixed the economy, that's a whole different story. It's pretty interesting of what we got out of that time period. And we even got a lot of our Christmas atmosphere, the music and whatnot, the way it's kind of packaged, the timing of it. We got that from a plan, from a plan to get business and the economy going back. Christopher Hines is back in the house. Coke created the modern Santa Claus. The picture, the Coca-Cola Santa, absolutely. Marketing, marketing. And again, people have bashed that and trashed that. I'm like, why? It's interesting. So why not? Billy says, yeah, too bad I'm a pepper. Bryn G made it. Bryn G made it to the live stream, which Bryn caught the end of last night, but she wasn't able to be here for a couple of other ones. Welcome, welcome. Actually, Carolyn is at the store right now. She'll be back here in a little bit. She had to run to the store. We have a very big day. It's been a very, very busy week for us. And I've tried to get these live streams in as best as I could. Last night, we had Justin Thornton on here, and he is an amazing trumpet player. You need to go back and watch that video. It's kind of sloppy because we didn't have a great setup, didn't have anybody help, but it was just us, But he was just playing, and you can tell this kid can do whatever. He can do anything. He's directing our kids tomorrow for our kids production Sunday morning. Just an amazing, amazing guy. Big Frog says, is she buying us cookies? Man, I don't need any more cookies. My sugar is terrible right now. I forget. Here's the deal. What do you call that the test that you do where they take your blood and do something? Mine's a 12, whatever that means. It's bad. And so I don't need to be eating sugar ever again. But I've not been good past few months, maybe past year. And so my sugar is so messed up. I really don't need cookies. During the holidays, it's so hard because, you got people in the church or your family members who they can just cook. And then you have get-togethers, and it's just much blah, 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 blah. And I hate the sugar-free stuff. Can't stand it. I can tell that there's fake sugar in there. And it's so weird that sugar's bad because it's so beautiful and clean, and it smells so good. It seems so wholesome, so American. To love sugar, but obviously I've got to have to go on a diet. Brengie said, is she buying me a Steelers shirt? I need to get her. I was going to get her one from Christmas. We changed plans, but that was the plan this Christmas, was to get her and she's not in, so because I still may pull this off, so she's not in here right now, but I want to get her a Steelers jersey, the little boggin and the gloves, because she looks so cute. I don't know if in the videos when you see her wear the boggin and the little thing, so cute. And she wears this one boggin that just makes her eyes pop out. She's just gorgeous. So I want to get her the Steelers deal, and the whole thing. I even thought about the earmuffs, just the whole deal. We don't live, I think, 3 or 4 hours or less from the stadium up there. And I told her, I said, it'd be great to go see a Steelers-Titans game when they play each other there at, what is it, Three River? Is that what it is, I think, maybe? Is that Pittsburgh's? I don't know, whatever their stadium's called. And go up there and watch the Steelers and Titans. I'll wear my Titans jersey that I always wear in my videos. And she can wear her deal. It'd be fun. Yeah, it's the A1C, Brenton. Yeah, it's very high. Very high. It's a 12. My husband's was 7.3 last time, which is good. When it used to run 12 or 13. And then, buy her a face mask to match. Ooh, that's a good idea, too. The Pittsburgh Steeler face mask. That'd be cool. Billy said, wife made cupcakes with cream. Oh, with cream cheese icing. Help us, Lord, with real sugar. You said, but you can't have any, boy. But I could. Oh man, bring one to church, man. Hey, Heinz Field, is that what it's called? Where's Three River Stadium at? Three River Stadium is somewhere. Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. Billy, how did you end up being a Chiefs fan? How did that happen? A Chief. Oh, they can't do that anymore. By the way, what did they ever rename the Redskins? Does anybody know? I heard it's just Washington or something. There's no name. It's like the team. It's like Prince, the team formerly known as the Redskins. She's bringing 24. Yes, please. Right before service, man. Then I'll have a sugar crash right in the middle of it. Christopher Hines says, I have some Bronco shirts for sale. Really? I think the practice squad would play better. Looking for a new team. I get it now. Washington Football Club. Wow. You got to come up with something. I mean, I don't know. You're going old school with Washington Football Club. There's some old school there. Kaepernick turned me to the Chiefs. Interesting. Okay. All right. This is the funny. I wear the Titans shirt. Historically, you remember the Titans used to be in tech. They used to be the Oilers, It took some time to get them to Nashville because they were splitting time between Memphis and Nashville. And some of you may know the story. It's not important. The important thing is here is that historically, I'm a Lions fan. And when you're a Lions fan, it's almost like not having a team at all. So because I was born in Detroit, and Dad pastored there. But when I was 12, we moved to Tennessee, and that's kind of where I stayed, other than being in Kentucky for about 9 years. I've always been in or around Tennessee. So I always said when I was younger, Tennessee ever gets a team, I'm going to pull for Tennessee. And of course, they got a team, and we almost won the Super Bowl one year. We were like a yard away from the Super Bowl. So I'm a Titans fan, but I still have the Detroit. Still want to see Detroit do good. And it works for me because one's in the AFC, one's in the NFC. The problem is that Detroit is cursed. I don't even know what to say. They're just cursed. And they just fired their coach again. And they had a good coach, and they didn't renew his contract, which made no sense. And then they get this guy from the Patriots thinking that they're getting a Bill Belichick, and they didn't. It's just, I don't know if the Lions can ever win. I don't know. I'm curious. It's almost like I wish they would sell to someone else, get not just different management, but different ownership. I think that might help. Billy said, let me catch up here on the notes. Washington Red Tape would be a great name, yeah. And Billy said, Washington should keep the name but make a potato the mascot. Juan Thomas says, I have no team anymore. They took a knee and peed me off. Yeah, it's as controversial as that is, it doesn't bother me as much as it does other people. And I'm, it's like I'm not going to take a knee, and I don't really pay attention to it. It's like, okay, whatever, and I kind of look the other way. But it bothered a lot of people. You can't deny that. But and I think a lot of people quit watching NFL football because that's a fact. A lot of people quit watching football. I'm wondering how long professional football and college football, I'm wondering how long they could deal financially, because they were pretty spread out. You look at what was going on before 2020, and you just had a lot of money going out. And so, of course, you can shut a lot of things down as they have. But I'm wondering when it comes back, are they going to come back at a level they were 15 years ago? Football was getting pretty amazing. If you think about the statistics and what teams were able to do, and I didn't mean to turn this into a football talk because I don't want to lose people, but if you think about how amazing football was becoming, and if you've been watching football, I'm watching football my whole life. I played 10 years. I played 2 years in college. Well, I sit the bench. Playing that, not really. Okay. I was at Union College, and I really just got beat up. I did more filming than I did anything. After college, I coached for 5 years, junior high school and high school, or middle school and high school. I know football. 17 years altogether football. I know football. Love football. Was going to be a high school football coach. And if you watch the progression of football from, let's say, the 80s to now, it's like watching two different sports. So I'm wondering what all of this stuff that's happened in 2020, if it will make football kind of go backwards, if you will. I don't know. You can share your thoughts. Probably not related to our channel at all. Not at all. People are like, wow, we don't talk about football. My wife just walked in the door from the store. We can welcome her, so you guys can welcome Carolyn. So give me some insight about our live stream. Critique is important here. This is where I'm asking your opinion. Your opinion is valued, especially if you're a subscriber who watches our videos. Now, if you're new and you're just kind of spying to see who this guy is, your opinion's great too. But I'm really wanting to hear from you guys. And if you don't want to put it in here, you're more than welcome to inbox. Criticism is okay. In other words, you're clear. You're not going to hurt feelings. I'm asking for it. So I can hear somebody now going, okay, you asked for it. Dear Bill, it's terrible. Bringy says, that's my fault about football. Sorry, folks. Bringy's the one that brought football up. That's her fault. So there we go. And you notice I never talk about football on the channel, but it used to be a very, very large part of my life, a huge part of my life. I mean, an obsession. And over the years, because of ministry and things like that, myself and football kind of separated. Juan Thomas says, I quit watching NASCAR because they are not worth watching or going to the track. I've never been a NASCAR fan. I've never been into NASCAR. So forgive me for that. But I hear NASCAR is the same. There's a lot of people not watching NASCAR like they used to, but I don't understand why. Because I've never got into NASCAR, but I've heard the same thing. Wow, Mark Sezowitz made it. Oh my goodness, Mark's one of the ways from Boston, and he's one of the people that they weren't getting their notifications as well. And about half of you or more have said the same thing, that when we go live, you're not getting notified. And I apologize for that. I've contacted YouTube, and yeah, I got YouTube. I don't know what to tell you. One of the things you can do is you can let YouTube know you're not getting notifications. That will help, But the effort there, because I understand, I've been in that situation where you didn't get notified on a channel, but then are you really going to go through the effort of contacting YouTube and saying, because it's like, got to push this button, got to push this button. So that is a way to become notified. Billy says, I love football, but won't watch it much anymore. It's difficult now. It is. It really is. It's weird these days. Mark says they only make left turns. That's exactly right. Again, the topic for tonight, if you're just joining us, the topic for tonight is Christmas music and football, I guess. Kind of an add-on. It wasn't a part of the show, but it is now. Brengie says, I live in a town where NASCAR runs. These small towns catch heck with traffic. Now we are getting the second race back this year. Oh, yeah, that's right. This is going to be crazy, too. Juan Thomas says, too many rule changes, and they need to go back to the old way NASCAR. Man, I don't know enough about – I'm just going to accept Juan Thomas as the expert and Brent is the expert, because I don't even know what rules they have changed. And I used to try to get into NASCAR. I just never could get into it. It's impressive. Don't get me wrong. My dad, Dad used to have a revival down in Dayton. No. Oh, my goodness, I'm drawing a blank down. It's in South Carolina, and I'm just drawing a blank. But as a racetrack, he used to take me down there and watch him run laps. Billy says, thank you for the live stream, because the wife isn't making me watch cheesy rom-coms. No, you know what's worse than rom-coms? Hallmark movies, Lifetime movies. Because here's the thing. They make me cry. I'm not kidding you. And you know what makes me cry? And I've said this before, and I hate this movie, because at the end, it doesn't matter how many times Carolyn makes me watch it. And I've probably seen it 10 times with my wife, because I'll come in, let's say I've been deer hunting or something. I'll come in that late that evening, and she'll have it playing on the DVD, and it's The Notebook. The Notebook, the end of The Notebook, it's Niagara Falls. And I hate, it's like, man, why do you want to put yourself through that misery? Now, it's funny, though, because I'm different. With the Christmas movie, It's a Wonderful Life. If I haven't seen it in a while, you get to that end, and he's coming in the door, and all the townspeople are there. I'm not, spoiler alert, if you've not seen It's a Wonderful Life, I'm sorry. But there at the end, he's just Niagara Falls. He's just bawling it. And all of a sudden, I lose it every time. But that doesn't bother me as much as The Notebook. The Notebook makes me think of my wife and my family, and I just can't handle it. It's very, very difficult. Darlington, that's it, Brent. Billy's admitting me on that, but not on the crying part. Juan Thomas says, Brengie, you're right. Not long after things went down. You didn't have to remind Batgirl about The Notebook. Oh, yeah, I know. It's probably a lot of guys in here, saying, why are you even talking about The Notebook? Because, the wife pulls the CD back out, or in some cases, maybe the VHS tape. Do you remember VHS? Yeah. Juan Thomas says, that's a great movie, Mr. Bill. You know what? If you're talking about The Notebook, yes, it is a great movie, great acting, and all the above. If you're talking about It's a Wonderful Life, I think It's a Wonderful Life is one of the greatest movies ever made, because it's very reminiscent. People don't give it this credit. It makes me so mad. It is very similar. It is an upbeat version of Citizen Kane. You're not going to hear anybody else say that. I am the only person. I love movies. You guys know that. I tried experimenting with movie reviews on this channel. It didn't go over. But I think that It's a Wonderful Life is a brighter telling of Citizen Kane, almost an inverted version of Citizen Kane. As a matter of fact, the director, in my opinion, has borrowed a little bit, I think. We'll talk about that some other time. Interesting concept. Curtis Ward is in the house. Best Christmas movie, Wonderful Life. Yeah, it is. Curtis, it is the best Christmas movie ever, in my opinion. Every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings. Isn't that precious? And that girl, and I don't want to say her name without permission, actually, but you are going to see a video soon with her in it. She's actually going to do the click the like and subscribe button, but I'm going to say that. She reminds me of that girl. It's really funny. Big Frog says, I remember VHS and Beta. I remember Beta. We had a Beta VCR, but we took it back because we realized the limitations that Beta had over VHS when it comes to selections. Brent says, my favorite Christmas movie is Christmas Story. You'll shoot your eye out. You'll shoot your eye. My wife hates that movie. I adore that. That's another classic. That's a great movie. It's a feel-good movie. And it's beautiful. It's just beautiful. What is it?
Double Dog Dare.
Double Dog Dare You. Yeah, but she's not a fan of that movie. I need to watch that again. I need to do that. I'm in the mood now to watch that movie. And It's a Wonderful Life. And we own both of them. So Wonderful Life is the best. Yeah, I'm saying the same thing. Billy says Die Hard is the best Christmas movie ever. That franchise had something wonderful going on with the whole Christmas thing, and they just blew it, in my opinion. They just blew it. Bruce Willis started just calling it in on those movies. He was making a bunch of money, and like the last one was terrible because Bruce Willis was like a drone in the movie. Am I right? You know? Charlie Brown Christmas. Big Frog's like, oh, yeah, that Charlie Brown Christmas will make you cry too. If you're really into it. There's one year my kids were watching it, and I got really into it with my kids because I was trying to make them shut up and watch it. It's one of those things. So I got into it, and it made me cry too because of the end. He tells the story. That was back when it was okay to talk about Christ on television without worried about repercussions. And they share the gospel essentially. I just cried. It was wonderful. Christopher Hines says most Christian movies are pretty cheesy. They are, man. We'll talk about that in just a minute. They're getting better though. We had Pure Flix, but it was full with cheesiness. Man, you Christian movies. I would love, one of my dreams, and I've shared this with you guys before. Some of you guys have heard me say this. One of my dreams is to make a Christian movie, but I don't want to make the movies, the kind of movies that people see. But the problem, and I've thought about this, believe it or not, I prayed about this. One of the things that keeps coming to me over and over again is, Christians sometimes, we embarrass ourselves in our walk with Christ with how divided and critical we are of each other. It's funny because Jesus said that he would know that we're his disciples by the way we love one another. And we are terrible at that sometimes. And so when somebody comes out and wants to do something a little different that may be offensive to somebody because the person that's being offended is like, a baby, or they're easily offended. It makes it difficult to make movies that challenge our thinking. I would love to make a movie about David. Now, hear me out on this. Not his whole life story, just the acts of Samuel coming to anoint him and then him going to fight the giant. But check this out. I don't want to set it in ancient Israel. I want to set it in a when I say post-apocalyptic, don't think Christian eschatology for a second, okay? Just think Mad Max Thunderdome. And the reason why is because I know we've got people getting out of the room left and right now. The reason why is because when David is anointed, you have to think about this. When David is anointed, you're coming out of the book of Judges when there was lawlessness. I mean, it was a very, very bad time. You have King Saul who had been kind of productive and kind of helped consolidate certain areas, but it was still a very, very dangerous time. But just set David in a different time period. Okay, in other words, turn everything on its head a little bit to kind of flesh the characters out and bring them back to life. Go ahead, you guys can bash it. Let me know what you think. Same story though. You don't change anything. You might even put it in the King James English. That would be cool too, where they're still speaking King. Okay, Carolyn's like, Billy's like, no, I'm not even going to talk about that. Billy's like, I've been to Bruce Willis's house. Nice place. Have you really? What were you doing at Bruce Willis's house? Billy says that sounds kind of interesting. He says that he gets it. Christopher Hines says David Beyond Thunderdome. Something like that, really. I mean, the music would be metal. You use metal music, okay? And I'm not a Mad Max fan either. It's just a matter of putting David in a setting that tells the story in a way that we can identify with it better today. When we put it in the ancient world, it's so distant in our minds that it's almost like we can't identify with them. When they were human, they wore flesh like we did. And as a Christian, as an evangelical Christian, we believe the Bible, is the fundamental word of God. So you don't lose the story. You don't lose what happened there. All you're doing is putting it in putting David and all of the characters involved with the account of David. You're just putting them in a situation that we can identify with, at least in our imagination, a little better. Juan Thomas says, if you make a movie about David, you have to make a movie about John. Johns are awesome. Yes, they are. Mock Sezowick says, Bill, power is out until tomorrow at 9 a.m. Wood stove, candles, and flashlights. What? Is the nor'easter? Because remember, Marcus, you're just outside. Mark, you're just outside Boston, if I'm not mistaken. You're not in Boston, or you're just outside. You're not in Worcester, I don't think. You're in Boston. I always say you're in Boston, but I don't think you're actually in Boston. Remind us real quick. But is it the nor'easter that's hitting you? I can't remember. Billy is saying the KJV would be awesome. See, I think so too. Carolyn's still shaking her head. But I think so too. And here's why. Because if you put it in the King James language, it's sort of like doing, those Romeo and Juliet movies? Like Leo did one. Leonardo DiCaprio, in case you don't know who I'm talking about. But they put it in a modern setting, modern LA, but alternate universe kind of thing. And back in the 70s or 60s, they made one that was cheesy, but they used Shakespearean language in those modern movies. So I think, even though Carolyn's still going, she's like, I think that it would just kind of bring the biblical aspect to life in that setting. Listen, if you're a Hollywood agent, I'm ready. Let's go. Let's do this thing. Let's talk. Have your people call my people. Christopher Hines says, if you want to laugh, look up Kevin Copeland, COVID heavy metal video on YouTube. I will. We'll check it out. Kevin Copeland, COVID heavy metal video on YouTube. I will. Billy says, could start the movie where Samuel chopped up Og. Ooh. It's not a bad idea. I was actually, that's not a bad idea. I have to think about it. What I was going to do is actually start it where David, you start in the middle of the action where David is actually, he's fighting the bear and the lion. And he concludes that scene. You spend 15 minutes with him, no music, no soundtrack, no anything. Just the cold reality of having to defend what he's having to defend with his might. And then watching him pick up an instrument and rock. But it's not, when we think of David playing an instrument, we think of a harp or something like that. But in this case, since it's in modern times, he's got the battery operated amps that people are using now. He's got an electric guitar and he's wailing. He's just absolutely wailing. Mark says, closer to Springfield. Yes, the nor'easter. Yeah, the Northeast is getting hit. We're not getting any of it down here. None of it. I don't think we're having a winter. I think it's chilly right now outside. It's just below 40 degrees, but we are not having a winter here in Harrisonburg, Virginia. Now, the first year we moved here, you can go back to 2018 in these videos. And starting in November, all I'm talking about is the snow because we were from the deep south. And it was just such a big deal to us to get snow. It was like the greatest thing in the world is to see, for deep Southerners, it's snowing, look outside. And, I made a video where we went to Walmart. We're doing the bread and milk thing. Got to have bread, eggs, and milk. And I think the first snow here, we only got like 4 or 5 inches, and Carol and I were freaking out. But that was the same year that we actually had to cancel church. We had a big blast of winter come in on a Saturday. We didn't have a choice. Every church in the valley had to close, and I'd never seen that before. Again, deep south. So it's Christmas movies. One of Carolyn's favorite, and she can quote the whole movie, is How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
The one with Jim Carrey.
The one with Jim Carrey. And she can quote that entire movie. It's like her favorite movie of all time. Christmas Story, though, is awesome. There's just so many quotable lines in that movie. One of the things I think I love about It's a Wonderful Life, it is the picture of the hardworking person. If you study it closely with an open mind, you have to have an open mind too. It's the strong characters in the movie. First of all, George Bailey is strong. His character is what's so strong, is that he's willing to sacrifice for other people. He has things, you know, he's deaf in one ear, and that keeps him from, he can't go to war. So he serves, regardless, though, in his town. But never forget the lovely and amazing Donna Reed in that movie, who is just wonderful. And here is the, you know, the typical back then housewife, but watch how she's portrayed. Next time you watch that movie, she is not portrayed as this weak person. She's not portrayed as a lot of times people have made housewives to be when we reflect on the way things used to be. No, she is strong. She is, you know, her husband's the head of the house and all that kind of stuff, but that doesn't take anything away from who she is. Her character is just amazing. And she is the strength of the whole house. And I think the portrayal of that is brilliant. And I don't think that movie and a lot of movies like that get enough credit. Citizen Kane is probably unfriendly to women in a lot of ways. And in our society right now, we're examining those things. We're talking about those things. And I look at It's a Wonderful Life, and you've got this very traditional wife represented in the movie. But here's the thing, is how the traditional wife is represented there is not as this beaten down, battered woman, but rather the strength, the heart and soul of the family. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I don't think that movie gets enough credit for that. Of course, I guess today they would say that's a part of the patriarchy or the hierarchy and all that stuff, and they'll have to get over it. Christopher Ryan says, I love Rise of the Guardians. Why don't I know that one? Billy says Narnia is also a good Christmas movie. Okay, here's a secret. And I agree that a lot of people, and Billy, I'm glad you brought Narnia up because a lot of people like that. I am the only person in the world who's not into the Narnia movies. And here's what happened. Here's why. The Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings messed up Narnia movies, and because they came out years before. And what happened was that when I would watch Narnia after watching The Lord of the Rings, I was bored with Narnia. It was like I'd already seen these things, and I just got bored with it. So I don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's terrible. It's just I couldn't get into them. They're good. They're powerful. Liam Neeson as the voice of the lion was pretty awesome, and that was pretty awesome. And it is cozy. It is a cozy movie with the snow when they come out and all the snow and stuff like that. It's pretty awesome. I had this idea for a movie one time because I've got the Dickens Village. I got a lot of those houses that mom gave me, and they're wonderful. I love them. I don't have a way to set them up right now. We've lived here 3 years, and I keep putting off building something for the Dickens Village that I can take up. I can take, put it up in the off season, so to speak. And I had this vision for a movie one time that, and this would be more like a kid's movie or just a fun kind of Christmas movie where somebody, for some reason, maybe it's a dream, but they're miniaturized and they're in the Dickens Village, but they're not. But keep in mind though, in this movie, they're not going back in time. They're not going back in time. They are just in the Dickens Village. In the Dickens Village, all the people, everything's real, but it's not real. It's like a perpetual telling of a Christmas carol, and the person's kind of stuck in the. I think this would be hilarious. There's just it's kind of like Groundhog's Day. That's what the feeling of it. And I know we've done a lot of that, but I just think it'd be a lot of fun. Mark says, Little Drummer Boy, favorite carol. It is. I like the Temptations version of that song. I talked about that earlier in the video. When the video first started, Mark, I was talking about how I love their version of that song. Sang at sixth grade choir as a soloist. I bet you were fantastic, Mark. Went from mall to mall in California. You were on the road, man. You were a rock star. It's awesome. Chris Bryan says Harry Potter has become a Christmas movie, at least the first one. I get it? I get that. I'm not a Harry Potter fan. I'm weird. So I know everybody likes Harry Potter, but I watched like half of the first one, and I can see where that would be. It's got that look. See, Christmas in our mind, it's Victorian, right? Because Queen Victoria is also a huge contributor to how we see Christmas. Before Queen Victoria, Christmas trees were kind of a German thing. So Queen Victoria comes in, she puts all kinds of Christmas trees up, and then the bourgeois there in England, they start putting Christmas trees up. Then Americans start putting Christmas trees up. So Queen Victoria contributed greatly, her time period contributes greatly to Christmas, because that's when that time period Dickens is writing A Christmas Carol. So it makes sense to me that anything that has that look, that late Victorian or post-Victorian look, is going to remind us of Christmas in some way. Billy is saying Polar Express is a family tradition. Polar Express, the first time I watched it, I've watched the 3D version, if I'm not mistaken, Carol. And it was weird. And the reason why is because the CGI freaked me out. What's happened is, over the years, what I liked about that movie kept coming back. For instance, the cookie scene, the cookies and milk scene, when they're doing all the dancing in the cars and all that stuff. That's a great scene. And so all of a sudden, I started slowly liking the movie. And now, yeah, it's a classic. I enjoy it. I need to watch these. I haven't watched that in a while. I need to watch that one again. O'Brien is in the house. Hello, O'Brien. O'Brien says favorite Christmas song is "Deck the Halls," the Pentatonix. Oh, that's a good one.
Pentatonix favorite.
Pentatonix is a favorite. Absolutely.
I love Pentatonix.
Mary, did you know? Uh-oh, copyright. Yeah, so Billy's saying, Mary, did you know? Is awesome, by Guy Penrod. Have I heard that one? I don't know if I've heard that one or not. Big Frog says Johnny Cash's Little Drummer Boy is my favorite version of the song. Haven't heard it. I will look that up because I love Johnny Cash. You know what's funny is Johnny Cash is one of those, I don't rock out to Johnny Cash. I study Johnny Cash. Anybody else get that? It's like I'm not going to sit going down the road jamming to him, but I'll sit and literally, if I'm watching YouTube or whatever, and just listen to the way he sings. He is interesting, just so interesting to me. Christopher Ryan says, I like the song Mary, Did You Know? Juan Thomas says, yes, Polar Express is a good family movie. It really is. It really is. Big Frog is talking about Wonderful at IMAX. I think, no, we didn't see that at IMAX. I think we just saw that on a big 3D screen, but it wasn't IMAX. Carol and I became theater snobs. And it's something that I would love to talk about during one of these Vlogmases is this craziness that's happened in theaters. Obviously, they've shut down for the most part, but Warner Brothers just dropped a huge bomb. And that bomb is that they are releasing all of their slate of movies for 2021 on HBO Max. That's a big deal, because essentially what that does is that may indeed destroy what's left of the theater industry. And on top of that, I mean, they're releasing in the theater as well, but you understand that's going to destroy theaters. They're trying to gain a market in the streaming, because they're all betting on streaming. I'm weird. I'm going to be weird about this. I am predicting that this sprint to streaming, it is not that streaming is not the future. It is the future. But my guess and prediction is that big screen movies will come back. Somebody will fill that gap. Some studio will fill that gap, because, man, there's a lot of people that like going to the movies. I mean, you have to understand the billions of dollars that theaters have generated over the past several years. So even though Warner Brothers dropped that bomb, I think theaters will come back. And if you're a business person and you can invest millions of dollars, I would begin investing now. Let it crumble, let it fall to the ground, and be the person who's at the bottom picking it back up. Billy is talking about the Gaither Band for Christmas. I've not listened to their Christmas music stuff, but there's some of their stuff that I love. I love their patriotic stuff. Let Freedom Ring. Oh, my goodness, man. Oh my goodness. Christopher Hines says Gremlins. I saw Gremlins in the summer, I want to say of 1984, and you're right, because it is set in the Christmas, but if I'm not mistaken, it came out in the summer, so it was kind of weird. It was like a Christmas movie in the summer, and if you're my age and you remember going to see Gremlins, it's a very interesting movie. It was really cool. When it came out, it was a big deal, a very big deal. It came out the same year. You talk about back when your summer wasn't about one blockbuster being released a month. That whole summer is blockbuster summer. If I'm not mistaken, Beverly Hills Cop came out then, Ghostbusters, and Gremlins. I think that was all the same year. You guys would have to Google it and figure that out. But it was all in the same time period. Then Back to the Future came out in 85. It's like there were 50 movies that came out a year. And that just started changing. Everything went to superhero movies, which, again, Marvel did a fantastic job with the whole superhero bit. They did a great job with telling us this story over what, a 12-year time period or something. Pretty interesting. It's pretty fantastic. Big Frog says huge 4K TVs and surround sound systems are affordable for your home, then it hurts theaters. I agree. I agree. You know, I've got two Bose speakers that they're classics. They're from the 80s. And I've got them running through a receiver through a TV that's really dated. It's not even a smart TV. But I'm telling you, even with what I have, which is nothing, it will blow your socks off. It's amazing. However, there is nothing like seeing a movie at an IMAX. I mean, I'm talking about a real IMAX, not just an IMAX sort of. I'm talking about the real IMAX. To me, that is a theater experience. The Last Jedi was memorable. I'm sorry, not The Last Jedi. That's the most evil movie that's ever been made. It cursed the entire franchise. Don't even get me started. The Force Awakens was a wonderful reboot of the Star Wars franchise, made $2 billion at the theater, if I'm not mistaken. And we saw it in several versions of the filming of the movie, because you have the IMAX version, the standard screen, and other versions of the movie. Carol and I went around Tennessee to different theaters to see different versions. Amazing, amazing reboot. And it was awesome to see it in an IMAX. Star Trek 2, even though the movie was terrible, Into the Darkness with Benjamin Cumberbatch. We saw that. A group of us from the church went to see it opening night at the big IMAX, like where they have the nature stuff. They were showing it there, and that blew my mind. I was sitting in the theater. I felt like I was in another world. It was awesome. Just things like that where it's just fantastic. Interstellar at the big IMAX. We saw it several times because it was so mind-blowing, beautiful. I don't think you can copy or duplicate that, but I think the studios right now are just fighting over streaming space. And I don't know if the consumer is going to get a good deal out of that. Christopher Hines brings up a great point that Warner Brothers has failed with the DC franchise. Yeah, so essentially what you're saying, Christopher, is that they're basically just throwing everything to the wall to see what sticks. We're going to dump all this into the streaming so that we can get a bunch of people to sign up for streaming, and that way we can have a share of the streaming market. Well, we'll see how that works, because I got to be honest with you, as some of those movies I want to see. James Bond, if I'm not mistaken, the new one, has gone to HBO Max. But from what I'm reading about some of the movies that they're throwing to HBO Max, I'm not really interested in. When they get into identity politics and all this stuff, I'm just and I'm not saying that people don't want to see that. Some people do. I'm just not into it. And so when it happens, it's like, then when you get into the comics, here's the thing. I don't know why Warner Brothers, I think it would have been smarter for Warner Brothers to have started trying to compete with DC Comics in a few years, as opposed to trying back when, you think about it, they booted up that franchise, to try to get Justice League right as Marvel Comics was coming to their conclusion with this last series. Terrible timing. Wait till Thanos, after he has snapped that finger, wait until the conclusion of that, then try to start your superhero franchise. I don't know why they did that. Christopher says, I took my kids to the drive-in theater twice this summer. My son went as well to the drive-in theater. Drive-in theater used to go back in the early 2000s. Enjoyed it, but I didn't go this year. Billy brings up Home Alone. Great. That is a great holiday movie. Well, listen, guys, I have a long day tomorrow. I am so grateful that you guys stopped by. Feel free to inbox me and let me know. By the way, Big Frog wanted to jump in here. He says, DC has been skipping getting to know the characters except for Wonder Woman. Not everyone knows everything about the comics. I agree. I think that's a big part of the problem. You bring up a great point. Right here, we're closing. They rushed it. They tried to get to that great point. I think what made Marvel Comics so wonderful in watching the progression there is the development of these characters that we loved. They were funny, from Captain America to Iron Man, and these guys were just great. And what's her name? Black Widow. Brent says, been fun. Good night, Bill and Carol. Good night, Brent. As always, thank you so very much. Juan Thomas, take care of everyone. God bless. God bless you too. I'll have something out for you tomorrow. Be blessed. And we are ending. We are trying to end, and we are gone. Sort of. Maybe.